My name is Adam, and for a long time, I felt unhappy with my life. Every day looked the same to me. I woke up late in the morning, felt tired, and went to a job that I did not like. I worked in a small shop near my house. The shop was noisy, the work was hard, and the pay was very low. My boss was often angry and shouted at me for small mistakes. When the day ended, I felt empty inside, like my life had no direction. When I was younger, I had many dreams. I wanted to become successful. I wanted to support my family and live a peaceful life. I imagined myself wearing clean clothes, working in a good place, and smiling with confidence. But as time passed, those dreams became weak. I started telling myself that dreams were not for people like me. I felt stuck, and slowly I stopped trying. After work, I spent most of my time on my phone. I watched random videos and scrolled for hours. I knew I was wasting my time, but I told myself, I am tired. I will change my life tomorrow. Tomorrow became next week, and next week became next year. Nothing changed, only my sadness grew. One morning, I was late again. My boss became very angry. He shouted at me in front of customers and other workers. My face felt hot with shame. I wanted to disappear. I did not say anything. I just kept my head down and worked quietly. Inside, I felt broken. When I returned home that evening, my mother was sitting in the small room. She looked at my face and understood everything. She did not shout. She did not complain. She only asked one simple question. She said, "My son, are you happy with your life?" Her words went straight to my heart. I could not answer her. I went to my room and lay on my bed. That night, I could not sleep. My mind was full of thoughts. I thought about my past. I thought about my present. Then I thought about my future. I imagined myself after 5 years. I saw the same shop, the same boss, the same tired face in the mirror. I felt fear. I did not want that future. I realized that if I did nothing, nothing would change. No one was coming to save me. I had to save myself. In that quiet moment, I made one decision. I said to myself, I will change my life. Not tomorrow, not next month. I will start today. The next morning, my alarm rang early. My body wanted to sleep more. My mind said, just 5 more minutes. But I remembered my decision. I stood up. It was not easy, but I did it. I washed my face and went outside for a short walk. The morning air felt cool and fresh. The sky was calm. For the first time in a long time, I felt alive. I knew I needed to start small. I could not change everything in one day. So I chose one simple habit. I decided to learn English for 30 minutes every day. I used my phone, but this time for learning, not wasting time. I watched simple English videos. I listened carefully. I wrote new words in a notebook. At first, I understood very little, but I did not stop. When I went to work, I tried to change my attitude. I worked honestly. I stopped complaining in my mind. I told myself that this job was temporary, but my effort was important. Even when my boss was rude, I stayed calm. I focused on my goal. In the evening, I felt tired, but it was a good kind of tired. Before sleeping, I opened my notebook and read the words again. I felt proud of myself, even for small progress. I told myself, this is how change starts. One small step. That day was not perfect. My problems did not disappear. My life did not change in one night. But something inside me changed. I felt hope. I felt control. I understood that my life was in my hands. That one decision became the first light in my dark life. It was the beginning of a new journey, a journey where I finally chose myself. The decision I made did not change my life in one day. Real change came slowly, step by step. Some mornings I woke up feeling strong, but other mornings were very hard. My body felt tired, and my mind wanted to return to old habits. There were days when I thought, this is too difficult. Why am I even trying? But every time that thought came, I remembered the promise I made to myself. I continued waking up early every day. The morning became my favorite time. The world was quiet, and my mind was clear. I used this time to study English. I started with very simple lessons. I learned basic words, short sentences, and common phrases. At first, my pronunciation was bad. When I listened to my own voice, I felt shy and uncomfortable. Sometimes I laughed at myself. But I did not stop. I practiced speaking alone in my room. I spoke in front of the mirror. I repeated sentences again and again. Slowly, the words started to feel natural. I began to understand more when I listened to English videos. This small progress made me happy. For the first time, I felt proud of myself without anyone else's approval. At work, I noticed a change in my behavior. I was more focused. I made fewer mistakes. I started greeting customers with a smile. When foreign customers came, I tried to speak simple English with them. My sentences were short and not perfect, but people understood me. This gave me confidence. I felt like a new person. There were still bad days. Some days my boss shouted again. Some days customers were rude. In the past, these things broke me inside. But now, I handled them differently. I told myself that this job did not define my future. It was only a step on my journey. I stayed patient and calm. After 3 months, something surprising happened. My boss called me into his office. I felt nervous. I thought I had made a mistake. But instead, he looked at me and said, "You are working better now. You are more responsible." Then he told me my salary would increase a little. It was not a big amount, but it was a sign that my hard work mattered. When I came home that day, I felt happy. I shared the news with my mother. She smiled and said she was proud of me. Her words meant more than the money. They gave me strength. I also started changing my life outside work. I stopped using my phone late at night. I went to sleep early. Before sleeping, I wrote my goals in a small notebook. I wrote simple goals, not big dreams. I wrote, learn English every day. Save some money. Find a better job. Writing these goals made them feel real. Months passed, and my English improved more. I could understand conversations. I could read simple articles. I could speak without fear. I started believing in myself. I realized that confidence does not come from success. It comes from effort. After 1 year, I felt ready for a bigger step. I found a job advertisement for a better position. The interview was in English. When I read that, fear came back. My hands shook. My heart beat fast. A part of me wanted to give up before trying. But then I remembered how far I had come. I prepared for the interview every day. I practiced answers. I learned new words. I prayed and stayed hopeful. On the day of the interview, I wore clean clothes and walked in with confidence. My English was not perfect, but I spoke honestly. A few days later, I received a call. I got the job. When I heard the news, my eyes filled with tears. I thought about the old me, the tired and hopeless person. I thought about that one decision. When I reached home, my mother hugged me. She cried and said she always believed in me. That day, I learned a powerful lesson. Life does not change because of luck or miracles. Life changes when you decide to change and take small actions every day. One decision, repeated daily, can turn a broken life into a new beginning. Getting the new job was not the end of my journey. In many ways, it was only the beginning. On my first day at the new workplace, I felt excited and scared at the same time. Everything was new. The building was bigger, the people were more professional, and the work felt serious. I kept asking myself if I truly belonged there. During the first week, I made small mistakes. Sometimes I did not understand instructions clearly. Sometimes I felt slow compared to others. Old fears returned to my mind. I thought, what if they realize I am not good enough? But then I remembered my past. I remembered where I came from and how far I had already traveled. I told myself that learning takes time, and fear is part of growth. I continued my daily habits. I still woke up early. I still studied English every morning. Now, I focused more on listening and speaking. I listened carefully to my coworkers. I wrote down new words I heard at work. In the evening, I practiced those words again. Slowly, my understanding improved. My coworkers noticed my effort. Some of them were kind and helpful. They corrected my mistakes gently. Instead of feeling embarrassed, I felt grateful. I realized that asking questions was not a weakness. It was a strength. Every day, I learned something new, not only about work, but about myself. With time, my confidence grew stronger. I started sharing ideas in meetings. I spoke slowly but clearly. People listened. Some even praised my work. These small moments filled me with quiet happiness. I no longer felt invisible. Outside of work, my life also changed. I helped my family more. I paid some bills and bought small gifts for my parents. The smile on my mother's face made every struggle worth it. My father looked at me with respect. That feeling was something I had never felt before. I also changed the way I thought. Before, I blamed others for my problems. I blamed my boss, my job, my luck. Now, I took responsibility for my life. I understood that I could not control everything, but I could control my actions. This thought gave me peace. There were still hard days. Some projects failed, some days were stressful, but I no longer ran away from problems. I faced them. I learned that problems do not mean failure. They mean growth. Every challenge was teaching me something important. One evening, I sat alone and thought about my journey. I remembered the day my mother asked me if I was happy. I remembered the night I could not sleep. I remembered that first early morning when I forced myself to wake up. That single decision had changed everything. I realized that many people wait for the perfect moment to change. They wait for money, for support, for luck. But the truth is simple. Change starts when you decide, even when you are scared, even when you feel weak. I wanted to share my story with others. I started helping people around me. I encouraged my friends to learn new skills. I told them that small steps matter. Some listened, some did not. But I knew my story could give hope. One day, a young man at work told me he felt lost in life. I smiled and listened to him. I saw my old self in his eyes. I told him my story honestly. I told him that he did not need to be perfect. He only needed to start. As I looked at my life now, I felt grateful. Not because my life was perfect, but because it was moving forward. I was no longer trapped by fear or excuses. I was building something, slowly and honestly. I learned that one decision, when followed by daily effort, can change a life. Not overnight, not magically, but deeply and forever. And every morning, when I wake up early and take that first step again, I remind myself that the power to change has always been inside me.